Yes, the board was fairly flat. There was not much movement in the market, and it was what most people expected anyway, without any real new news in the market.
Well, you've been keeping a close eye on the stock exchange. What is different from last week in terms of the trend that's been set since Monday?
What we're seeing really is a continuance of a trend we've been seeing since the beginning of the year. There are really two real things happening in the stock market. There's the trend where because there's good value, as soon as certain stocks start going up, people take profit and try and sell. Either people who have massive portfolios who are just trying to release some of those portfolios onto the market and then trying to make profit. So that brings the market back down. And the other trend is we're seeing some real institutional investors who are seeing some stocks, particularly in the banking sector and some in the food and beverages sector, which they see real value in, and they're investing in the medium to long term in those, and they are helping support the market.
Well, generally by midweek, the trend is that profit takers are seen on the market. Are you expecting that tomorrow?
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
The general trend on the stock exchange is that by Wednesday, we'll see profit takers back on the bourse. Are you expecting that tomorrow?
I think that would be the case, unless there's any new market news that will move the market. I expect that by the close of the week, as the trend has been in the past few weeks, the bourse will go down as people start taking profits.
Well, Starcoms rallied yesterday. What is the movement like on that stock today?
There's a bit of volume in Starcom stock. I think Starcoms now, everyone's awaiting the year-end results because they're doing the final audit now and they expect to announce the year-end results in the next 2 weeks. And the speculation is that the results will be maybe better than indicated. But the one note of caution with the likes of telecoms companies like Starcoms is the NCC has said that they want to start registration of SIM card holders, and that's going to have a cost and probably an effect on services for most of the telecom operators in Nigeria. So that's one word, note of caution which analysts are putting into the telecom stocks. But apart from that, people expect Starcoms to have reasonably good figures.
Well, some of the gainers for today is Flourmills and Guarantee Trust Bank. Flourmills has been doing rather well since the beginning of the year. What are the fundamentals of this company that's working well for them?
Well, Flourmills is a bit of a misnomer having Flourmills in the food and beverages sector, because it's really a conglomerate. Because Flourmills has the core Flourmill business, but they're also port operators, and they're also involved in fertilizer distribution, importation and distribution, as well as cement importation and distribution. So they have a wide range of companies which make up Flourmills of Nigeria. And what we've seen is that they import a lot of their raw materials, especially for their Flourmills business, so especially wheat from abroad. And in 2008, beginning of 2009, the price of wheat was fairly high. So that affected our bottom line. But the price has gone down recently in the end of 2009. We're seeing that feeding through to the profit and loss figures, which were very impressive compared to the year before. We also have to bear in mind that they took a big FX loss, exceptional FX loss in 2009 because of the movement in the Naira exchange rate. But Naira has been stable for most of 2009 and into 2010, and that has also helped their profit bottom line.
So basically the company is gaining from its diversification, but do you think that the company can sustain this positive trend going forward?
I think they are. They've got a good market share. They've got 40% of the market and potential to grow. And they have good fundamentals. They've been in Nigeria since 1960. So they're a long player in the Nigerian market. They understand the market very well. So I think they understand the market very well, and the fundamentals are strong. And I think going forward, they look to diversify also in trying to grow more of their raw materials in Nigeria, because they have a scheme to try and start a farm in Nigeria to start making things like soya beans and stuff, importing them. So I think the diversification strategy is strong. I think that they have good fundamentals going forward.
EcoBank and Diamond Bank on the list of losers. What's the outlook for these two banks?
EcoBank is a bit of a funny position, because EcoBank, during late 2008, when most of the bank stocks were diving, EcoBank was technically suspended because it was going through a share offer. So I think what we're seeing partly for EcoBank is one of two things. Is one, the price is readjusting. It didn't readjust when the other bank stocks were readjusted at the end of last year, so it's in the process of readjusting as well. I think secondly, analysts are a bit unclear about the strategy of EcoBank, because if you notice, ETI, which is the parent company which controls most of the EcoBanks in all the West African and Central African countries, actually went up on the market today, while EcoBank went down. I think that shows analysts are looking at what is actually the strategy for EcoBank in Nigeria, in conversing to the new strategy ETR proposed last week about rearranging their businesses and what does that hold for Nigeria. I think analysts are unsure of that strategy, and that's why there's a bit of weakness on the price.
Olukayode, isn't it rather risky at this point in time to have an unclear strategy for the bank?
It is. It can be. But then again, you want to know what's the playing field, because CBN have announced a whole raft of reforms, and the CBN governor late last week announced a new set of reforms which might affect market capitalization requirements for banks. And he hinted that there might be a version of the Glass-Steagall Act coming to Nigeria, splitting commercial from investment banking. He hinted that there could be a different capitalization for international banks, national banks, regional banks, and specialized banks in Nigeria. Now, when you have those different new reforms coming in, as a bank, you want to ensure what exactly are the reforms, so you can plan a strategy to fit the reforms. Because if they're going to have those kind of different stratification of banks, then as a bank, you have to decide where you're going to fit in that stratification. And you can't really do that until it's clear what the actual reforms really are going to be.